This story is a work of fiction created for entertainment purposes.
Only the low hum of cooling servers echoed through the archive room. I was organizing a shipment of retired hard drives that had arrived from an old international broadcasting facility. Most of them were empty. Some were physically damaged. One of them was different. No barcode, no serial number, just a strip of faded masking tape. Written by hand were 4 words: "Final match, do not open." At first, I laughed. I assumed it was someone's joke. Broadcasters love labeling damaged drives with dramatic names. But when I plugged it into the recovery station, something strange happened. The system recognized the drive immediately. No password, no encryption warning, just one single video file. No date, no tournament name, no country, no teams, only this. Duration, exactly 90 minutes. Not 90 minutes in stoppage time, exactly 90. Which didn't make sense. Every World Cup final includes added time. Every single one. I hesitated. Then I clicked play. The screen faded in. A packed football stadium appeared beneath blinding floodlights. More than 80,000 fans filled every seat. The commentators sounded excited. The players walked onto the field. Everything looked completely normal. For the first 5 minutes, nothing unusual happened. Then I noticed something. Not on the pitch, in the crowd. One entire section of the stadium had become completely empty. No movement. No people, just thousands of vacant seats. The commentators didn't react. The players kept playing. The crowd noise never changed. I paused the video, zoomed in. Every seat was empty. Yet somehow, the roaring crowd could still be heard. I told myself it had to be a visual error, a damaged recording, so I resumed the footage. 30 seconds later, another section disappeared. Not faded, not glitched. Gone, like those people had never been there. I looked at the match timer. It read 6:14. Then, without warning, the video froze. Not because the file had crashed, because something inside the recording had turned toward camera 12, and for the very first time, it looked directly back at me. Who or what? Just looked at Mason through the recording. The video remained frozen. Not because of corruption, not because the file had crashed, it had stopped. The exact moment someone in the crowd looked directly into camera 12. My hands froze above the keyboard. I leaned closer to the monitor. At first, I thought it was just another spectator. A man wearing a dark jacket, nothing unusual. Until I zoomed in, the seats around him were completely empty. Thousands of empty chairs, and one man, sitting perfectly still. He wasn't watching the match. He was staring directly into the camera, into me. A chill ran down my spine. I quickly switched to camera 3. The man was gone. I checked camera 7. Nothing. Then, I opened camera 12 again. He was still there, exactly where he had been before, completely motionless. I paused the footage. Something didn't make sense. Every broadcast camera records the same moment from a different angle. If someone appears in one camera, they should appear somewhere in the others. But he didn't. It was as if he only existed for camera 12. I decided to inspect the raw broadcast files. Every professional football match records separate feeds from every camera inside the stadium. There were 16 cameras listed, except camera 12 wasn't listed. The footage existed, but officially, that camera had never been installed. I searched the engineering logs. Nothing. Maintenance reports. Nothing. Equipment records. Nothing. It was as if camera 12 had never existed. Yet somehow, I was watching footage recorded by it. Trying to stay logical, I kept watching. The match clock reached 18:42. Another entire section of the stadium disappeared. No panic, no screaming, no reaction from the commentators. The players continued passing the ball as if 80,000 fans were still cheering. Only the empty seats kept growing. Section after section, row after row, the stadium was slowly becoming silent. Then, I noticed something even stranger. The crowd noise hadn't changed. It was looping. Exactly the same cheers, repeating every few seconds. I isolated the audio waveform. The pattern was identical. Every chant, every whistle, every clap copied, again. There had never been a real crowd, only the sound of one. My phone suddenly vibrated on the desk. Unknown number. I answered. Silence. Then, a man's voice whispered, "Stop watching before halftime." The line went dead. I immediately checked the building's security system. According to the cameras, I was completely alone. Every hallway, every office, every editing room, empty. Yet, my office door slowly creaked open behind me. I turned. No one, just darkness stretching into the archive hallway. When I looked back at the monitor, the video had started playing again by itself, without me touching the keyboard. The match clock now read 44:59. 1 second before halftime. The referee raised the whistle. The players stopped moving. Every camera inside the stadium slowly turned away from the field, one after another. They all pointed toward the broadcast control room. Not the stadium control room. Mine. And on every screen, the same man from camera 12 was smiling. As the monitor flickered, one sentence appeared across the bottom of the screen. Second half begins when you look away. I didn't look away, not even for a second. The message remained on the screen. Second half begins when you look away. I laughed nervously. Nice editing trick, I whispered to myself. Then I noticed something impossible. The match clock wasn't moving. It was still frozen at 44:59. 1 second before halftime. No matter how long I waited, the clock never changed. I reached for my coffee. The cup was empty. I stood up to refill it. The moment I turned my back to the monitor, I heard it. A whistle. Not from the speakers. From somewhere inside my office. I spun around. The video was playing again. The match clock now read 45:01. The second half had started, exactly as the message promised. The stadium looked different, not darker, quieter. Half of the seats were now completely empty. Yet the roar of 80,000 fans continued without interruption. The commentators sounded normal, almost too normal. One of them laughed, then calmly said, "Attendance remains perfect tonight." I stared at the screen. Perfect? Almost half the stadium had disappeared. I opened the official match statistics. Possession, shots, corners, everything was updating live, as if the match were happening, right now. That made no sense. This recording was years old. I refreshed the database. The statistics changed again. The file wasn't replaying history. It was generating new data. Determined to find the source, I followed the signal path recorded inside the archive software. Instead of ending at the old hard drive, the signal continued, live, streaming from somewhere. The destination field contained only one location. Control Room 12. I searched the building blueprint. There was no Control Room 12. Only rooms 1 through 11. I grabbed a flashlight. If that room existed, it wasn't on the official plans. The basement archive was colder than usual. Rows of forgotten broadcast equipment stretched into darkness. Dust covered everything. Old monitors, camera cables, satellite receivers. At the far end, behind a shelf that shouldn't have moved, I found a steel door. No number, no handle, only a faded sign. Control Room 12. My heart stopped. Someone had welded it shut years ago. Across the metal, someone had scratched 4 words with a knife. Do not restart the feed. Before I could step closer, every light in the basement went out. Complete darkness. Then, somewhere behind the steel door, I heard it. Not footsteps, not voices. A football crowd. Tens of thousands of people cheering, as if an entire stadium existed, behind 6 inches of steel. I slowly placed my hand against the door. It was vibrating like speakers during a live match. Then someone knocked. 3 slow knocks. From the other side, I stepped back. Another knock, then another. A calm male voice spoke through the metal. Not shouting, whispering. We're still waiting for the final whistle. The crowd suddenly fell silent. Every cheer stopped at once. The silence was worse. Then, all at once, thousands of voices whispered together. Open the door. My flashlight flickered. For a split second, I saw dozens of shadows beneath the narrow gap under the steel door. Not one, not 2, dozens, standing shoulder to shoulder, waiting. The flashlight died. When it came back on, the shadows were gone. Only one thing remained, a brand new football resting quietly at my feet. Across its white surface, written in fresh black ink, were 2 words, your turn. As Mason slowly picked up the ball, his office phone upstairs began ringing. The caller ID displayed only one word. The word live remained glowing on my phone screen. I answered. No one spoke. For several seconds, all I could hear was the distant roar of a football crowd. Then, a calm voice whispered, "Kick the ball." The call ended. I looked down. The football was still lying at my feet. Across its surface, those same words remained. Your turn. Every instinct told me to walk away. But after everything I had seen, I needed answers. I placed the ball on the concrete floor, took one slow step back, and kicked it. The moment my foot touched the ball, every light in the basement exploded. Darkness swallowed the room. Then, the stadium floodlights came alive, not on a screen. Above me, I was no longer inside the archive. I was standing in the center of a massive football stadium. The pitch stretched endlessly beneath brilliant white lights. More than 80,000 seats surrounded me. Every single one was empty. No flags, no voices, no movement, only silence. Then, the giant scoreboard flickered to life. Instead of team names, it displayed only one line. Match suspended. Waiting for the final player. My heart sank. The final player was me. A football rolled slowly toward the center circle by itself. The stadium speakers crackled. Then the same announcer's voice echoed through the empty arena. For 90 years. The match has searched for someone willing to finish it. Every person who watched the hidden broadcast became part of the game. I turned toward the players' tunnel. Figures slowly emerged from the darkness. 11 players, wearing faded World Cup uniforms. Their movements were unnatural, slow, mechanical. Every face was blurred, as if the cameras refused to focus on them. Except one, the man from camera 12. He walked to the halfway line, holding an old referee's whistle. He smiled, then spoke for the first time. "We've been waiting for you, Mason." Without warning, the scoreboard changed again. The match clock appeared. It still showed 90 frozen. The referee raised the whistle, but instead of blowing it, he held it out toward me. Only the last witness can end the match. I stared at the whistle. Something felt wrong. Then I remembered the warning carved into the steel door. Do not restart the feed. This wasn't asking me to end the match. It was asking me to replace someone. If I blew the whistle, I would never leave. Someone else would eventually discover the recording and take my place. I dropped the whistle, turned, and ran. The floodlights began shutting off behind me. One by one, the empty seats disappeared into darkness. The announcer's voice echoed across the stadium. Not angry, disappointed. The match remains unfinished. I reached the tunnel. Everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was back in the archive. The old hard drive lay shattered on the floor. The football was gone. The steel door had vanished. There was no control room 12, no hidden hallway, nothing, only silence. For a moment, I convinced myself none of it had happened, until my computer monitor turned on by itself. A new folder had appeared. I hadn't created it. Its name was World Cup Final 2026. Inside, there was one video. Length 90, status live. I never opened it. I resigned from the archive the next morning. I never told anyone what I saw, because I knew someone else eventually would. A few months later, another international tournament began. Millions of people watched around the world. Commentators celebrated. Fans filled every seat. Everything looked completely normal. But if you freeze the broadcast at exactly 67:41 and zoom into the Upper East stand, you'll find one man, wearing ordinary clothes, staring directly into the camera. He isn't watching the match. He isn't cheering. He's just watching you. And if you ever see him, don't wait for the final whistle, because some matches were never meant to end. If stories like this keep you thinking long after the screen goes black, then you're exactly where you belong. Subscribe to Dark Stories Zone, because the next story might be even darker than this one. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and never trust every place you find on the map.